Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Calvin True. I am a performance and nutrition coach, a first-year PhD student, as well as the host of this podcast. Hello. All right, so I've been thinking about this episode for a couple of days. I'm really excited to go through this because this is something that's very top of mind and something that I'm trying to talk to myself and give myself advice because it's funny how it works that we know what the right thing to say, we know what to do, but when it comes to like applying it to ourselves, we suck a lot at it. But it's so much easier to give advice and counsel or be a mentor to others, but we suck when we have to do that to ourselves. Because for some reason, it's so much easier to self sabotage. Because when it comes to creating actual change, it's so much easier to live in what is familiar, what is known to you, and live in that and continue living in the same loop instead of branching out and doing something that actually is good for you and that is unknown and that may feel foreign. And so it actually feels like punishment when you try to take care of yourself. Sit with that for a moment. That's something I try to marinate my brain in often when I am actively self-sabotaging myself, and we all do this in various forms, and that's what this episode is going to be about. Not so much self-sabotaging, but about building better habits. So the working title is, I really don't have a working title, it's kind of just that saying is how to build better habits, to basically suck less, to be the person you want to be, essentially. But before we, excuse me, but before we get too far into the episode, first things first, if you are subscribed, that is awesome. Thank you so much, because there's two type of people in this world: those who are homies and homettes that are subscribed, and those who are not. And if you are not, then I'm talking to you right now. Please do me a solid and like, subscribe, leave a review, share this something. But just by subscribing to the channel really does help me know that you enjoy listening to this. You will get reminders whenever these episodes come out every single Monday at 3 a.m. Central Standard Time, because that's where I'm at right now. And it'll be on YouTube. It'll be on all platform stuff. But yeah, if you want to be a homie, if you're cool, if you fuck with this, please subscribe. Be in the circle. Yeah. If not, then what are you doing? Do you hate me? What are you doing? Anyways, going on from that, I actually slept a lot last night for the first time. I've been having a hard time sleeping this last like 2 weeks. It really got to me this week of running on like 4 to 5 hours a night sleep. And then the night before, I got 6 hours and 40 something minutes. And then last night I got like 7 hours and 37 minutes. So I feel it's almost like I'm recovering from like a mental physical hangover. So I was very drowsy this morning, and so we are pulling everything together. I have my cup of black coffee right here. We're gonna go in this episode and we're gonna do this. I want to give you clarity. I want to give you these ideas that I was thinking about, I was learning about, and I was able to build some downstream model way of building better habits and try to synthesize and use, because there's so many videos and books out there. Like my favorite book when it comes to creating better habits for yourself is Atomic Habits by James Clear, that came out a few years ago. Awesome gem, go read that. But I don't want this episode to be a regurgitation of that book, whether you can just go straight to the author, but how I actually apply this to myself and how I'm actively doing this from both a habit building it and from an environmental standpoint and an identity standpoint, and a little more how I do it, how I'm finessing this so then I stop being a ding dong or a dummy to myself and self sabotaging. Because I'm not alone in that. We all self sabotage and are ding dongs to ourselves. So let's do this. So some of the things I was feeling that I'm sure you are probably feeling is, I'm sure that you have a vision for yourself. You have things you want to accomplish, places you want to be in life, and versions of yourself that you want to bring to reality, that you want to embody, values you want to have, all these things. You want to do things, you want to suck less, you want to do more, be better, be more proud. And you are probably like, why do I keep repeating the same patterns? Why do I keep self-sabotaging? Why is it that there's the same lessons I'm having to learn? Why am I repeating the same loops? Why do I feel like I'm pulled everywhere? Why does my environment feel like it's not facilitating me? Why does it feel like it's just the results you want, the goals are just like so far away, and you're just repeating the same dumb steps and routines, and your routine kind of sucks. Your routine's not serving you, and you're like, what's going on? What do I need to do? And yeah, so that's what we're talking about. It's building better habits and your environment to facilitate you closing that gap to wherever it is you want to go. Because these are feelings that I feel, and sometimes it can feel very hopeless. Trying something the second, third, or fourth time and feeling like you're getting nowhere because you're just spinning your wheels and you're getting essentially nowhere. And you're like, how do I make this actually real? How do I just know what to do next? How are other people able to do such things? Is it because you lack willpower? Is it because you lack discipline? Is there something wrong with you? And so we're gonna go into it. And first things first is, since we are going to be talking about those words right there that I said, habits and willpower and discipline, it'd probably be a good idea to define it, because many of us don't actually have a like concrete like sticky definition in our own minds. Like when we like, so let's all get on the same page of defining the terms that we're talking about. How do you define a habit? Well, it's funny that you ask. I have it pulled up right here. And yes, I have notes because it helps me stay on track and I'm getting better at the thing. And so I'm going to read it to you so it sounds like I'm really, really smart. So habits. Here's a very sticky definition for you. So a habit is an automatic behavior triggered by a cue in your environment or internal state. So break it down to three things. You can think of it this way: a cue, a routine, and a reward. So for example, a cue, a habit that I have for myself that I love, that many people are working on. Say you want to work out in the morning. You want to be somebody who works out in the morning. You get out of the way. And so you know that the first thing you do when you open your eyeballs is you need to go work out. You need to go get ready to go work out, because that's your first task of the day, your first big task, essentially, besides the small miscellaneous things that you do. So you know that when you first wake up, that is gym mode. That is, you are an athlete. You are a person who works out. You are a runner. You are a lifter. You are a CrossFitter. You are a powerlifter. You are whatever identity you want to embody. You are that. Don't tell yourself that you are not. Don't say that you're just trying. You are. Because if you go train, you need to embody that, because the language you use matters a lot. If you say, I am not a morning workout person, then you are going to your mind will subconsciously rewire itself, and you will believe that, and it will do everything it can to stop you from doing that, because you said that you are not this person. Then eventually you will self-fulfill that prophecy of you are not this person. So say that you were a morning workout person. Even if you do it one time, who cares? Just say the damn thing. Whether you believe it or not, just say it until you believe in it yourself. Because if you need concrete evidence, it's right there. You're waking up in the morning and you're doing the thing. You want more than that? Keep doing it. So you can think of the cue. That's your stimulus. And now the behavior, the routine, you doing the workout. You getting up, you do the thing to get ready, then you go work out. Boom. And now there has to be a reward, because as humans, we are engineered to be very reward centric. So we like feeling good by doing things, kind of like a dog. When you give a dog a command, you got to reward them by saying, good boy, good girl. So they will reinforce that behavior. They will do it. Humans are the same thing. And so there's a feedback loop system that you want to close the loop. So if the cue is when you wake up, boom, you know you need to go work out. There we go. Routine, behavior. There's the workout, the reward. You enjoy that you worked out, even though if it was hard, if it was whatever, you went to go work out, you feel accomplished, you feel proud, you had fun, you whatever. So for me, some of my rewards from working out in the morning is I don't have to worry or think about it in the back of my mind throughout the day of, will I have time for this later? Nope, I did it. Cool. Awesome. And I also feel I get to just be free, childlike, free, have fun. Wake up in the morning. This is me time. I can go train. I don't have to give myself to the world. This is me. Everything is for me. I can be selfish with my time and energy and just pour into my cup before I pour into everything else, all my other responsibilities and commitments throughout the day. I like that. It sets my day off on a great tone, frequency, and I'm just vibing throughout the day. I like that. If I don't have that, I can tell that my day is going to be a little bit off. And I don't like that. So that is a habit. Now, let's get into discipline. You're probably thinking, wait a minute, am I a disciplined person? Discipline operates on a spectrum. Maybe you are disciplined in some things and not in others. So it's not just a binary black and white broad stroke label across everything. You may be very disciplined. Most likely, if you are listening to this, you are an ambitious, determined person that likes to pursue greater things for yourself. You want more out of your life. You demand more. You want to have an awesome life. You want to do well in the things you do. So you're probably disciplined in your professional life, or you were probably disciplined in your academic life or family life or whatever. So you can be disciplined in some areas because discipline is just a skill. It's not an on or off switch. It's a dial. It's a dial of the degree of how skilled you are. And with every skill, there's a learning curve for it. At the beginning, it takes a lot more activation energy to get going, and you have to think about it a lot more and then do it before it becomes autonomous for you over time. So it's kind of like let me give you the definition first. Sorry. So discipline, the sticky definition is discipline is the capacity to consistently align your actions with your values or your goals, even when you don't feel like it. And so the analogy I love for this one is like when you're driving a car, for example. And so when you are driving a car, think of the road that you've paved as your habit. Now, discipline is a decision that you're going to drive even when the weather sucks. So this is where you're going to have to use a little bit more willpower into it to be able to do the thing. And so now kind of you have to use a little more brain power. And like I said, the dial thing. So all of these aren't so like they're not a hard line. They all, like I said, all these words blend to each other. It's like on a spectrum. And now leaning into willpower. How do you define willpower? Funny you ask. Willpower, sticky definition. Willpower is the momentary ability to override impulses or resist short-term temptations in service of long-term goals. I.e., what does that mean? That is kind of like the impulses that you have, the part of your brain that gets very creative in its self-negotiating skills. Oh, don't go work out this morning, you only slept a little bit last night. Oh, if you don't work out this morning, then you get to have more energy to do this. Oh, if you don't work out this morning, maybe you get to go sit on the toilet and scroll a little bit, or then go to the couch and watch some TV, or you get to go do this. You get to go to this coffee shop and have this bagel or breakfast burrito you really like with that cinnamon roll, and you get to go on a nice walk because you know how much you value nice walks in the morning, and then this and that, and it gets very creative in the sales pitch to you. But you know objectively, wait, this is just chatter. This is just noise. What do I actually value? Who am I? Why do I even work out in the morning? Remembering, this is the big part. Remembering why you do this. What are your values? Who is the type of person who works out in the morning? Why are you that person? What is that? How is that meaningful for you to work out in the morning? And if you remind yourself, like for me, because I can only pull on my own experiences, why do I want to work out in the morning? Oh, I know that I value exercise because it's fun for me and it's a great outlet, and I like to be curious about it, and I like taking my pre-workout because I feel like a dog in the gym. I just get to be a savage. I get to pour into me before the rest of the day where I do other things, and I know that after I work out, I never feel bad afterwards. I'm proud that I did it. That dopamine, that serotonin, all those different neurotransmitters get released, and I feel very good. I'm proud, reinforcing the identity, the behavior becomes more automatic, and I like it. It's also part of my passion and profession as well. And maybe also because I'm training for a marathon, I have physique goals, I have things, and so it adds to that. It's a compounding thing. But If I don't go work out one morning because I'm listening to that self-negotiation creative salesman pitch, then I don't do that, and then I feel worse afterwards because I chose short-term pleasure over long-term what actually matters to me. That just feel richer with more depth and texture to that good feeling. So willpower is you putting a hard stop, being like, shut up. Not every thought is real. Not every emotion is a command. I'm just going to go do what I say I value. I am this person, and I know I will not regret it, but I will regret this. And of course, you don't have to be black and white with it. There's times, there's situations where you toggle across the spectrum and turn a dial down, turn a dial up. You get that. So now that we're all on the same page about understanding the definition of discipline, of willpower, and habits, I think I said it already. It's kind of like the driving a car analogy. So the road that you paved is your habit. You have a road you drive on, but it's cloudy, the weather sucks, but you choose to drive it anyways because you get to the gym, get to work, go where you're trying to go. There's a destination there. That's the direction to the destination. And now the willpower is where you have to step on the gas a little bit more when the road gets very hilly. You have to drive up. So you have to give a little extra boost, a little extra effort to harness that willpower to get you over that hump, and then you're back in cruise control, back on route. So now that we've broke that down, cool. So now how does that help us? Now we understand habits, we understand willpower, we understand discipline. How do we actually build better habits and change our environment that facilitates our change? So I have something called the mental house model. Yes, I like that. I made something. So with the mental house model, let me explain what that means. So this is how I kind of like to break it up here. So with the I'm working very internally first before I go very external, because that's how long-term change really happens. Is you really got to change things inside your noggin and who you are for things to actually get sticky. Because I don't want to just give you fluff and micromanage everything. I want things to be very principles based, things that you can use, that's very adaptable and flexible to everything, and it matters. So how you manage your mind first and foremost is the most important thing for anything you want. Otherwise, you're going to be repeating the same habits and behaviors and problems forever. For example, this is going to be a very extreme statement right here, but sit with me. So anyone can lose like 20 pounds, right? But Susan, I'm just going to say it. Susan, if you want to lose 20 pounds in the next 6 weeks, you can do that. But who cares if you only have abs for 6 weeks if you were going to fall back to who you were after that 6 weeks and then you have the rest of your life to live and you repeat the same 6 weeks over and over? Who cares if you were successful for just a week, a month, a small season, but then you revert exactly back to where you were? Nobody cares. You won't care. So how do we actually create that change? That change, I'm so sorry, it starts with everything inside you first, and then everything will bleed out into everything physical, more of the tactical stuff that you can physically do. They have to be paired together. If not, it's just not going to work, because you can change everything on the outside, but then eventually you will self-sabotage because you are who you are and you'll default back to your original setting. If you change your internal setting, then it mirrors and shines into everything to the external, which brings me into your environment. So when I think about the mental house model, think about you like kind of what it says, having a mental house model in your head. So with that one, decide what type of climate, what type of internal default setting do you want for your mind? What is the temperature? Think of this as like the temperature gauge. I don't like a place too hot or too cold. I like the right temperature. If I'm at the right emotional temperature, then I want my mind to live in a room in my head, in the space, feeling calm, feeling curious, feeling steady, feeling still, optimistic, ready, all those things. How do I want to feel from a day-to-day basis? How do I want that internal state to feel no matter what hits me, no matter if it's warm, cold, stormy, tornado, super hot, whatever. No matter the outside condition, my internal thermostat default setting state is stable, and then I can make better decisions that way. So think of your the internal like thermostat. Next, I want you to think about the furniture and the decor. So we've set the temperature, the climate, and now we need the furniture. We need to furnish the place. We need to put the decor, and this is your environment. These are the inputs. What are you going to bring into your house? What you bring in matters. What are the inputs? And I look at inputs, I look at it through several different dimensions, layers. So you have your internal, so everything that is like excuse me. So think about things that are digital. So from the podcast, from the music, from the content, from every type of media on a social platform, from a screen that you listen to, that you see, what are the inputs you're allowing in? Are you curating it, or are you just allowing all of that to come into your mind? And then from the physical, so think about your actual environment of where you live, the people you surround yourself. There's a saying where it goes, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And if you want to take that couple more layers, I think of it as you were the sum total of the 5 main conversations that you have. And so, what are the conversations that you have around? Maybe you spend the most time at your work or your friend group or that you see after work or at work or your family. What are the type of conversations you guys having? Are they very surface level? Are they really self-fulfilling prophecies? Are they negative? Are they cynical? Are they those things will affect your perception and your beliefs and everything. So be very careful of the environments, of the people, the conversations, what you listen to, what you partake in around you. Are these really things you want to be talking about? And so there's that one. So from digital, from physical, and also like the environment, and then now what are the internal? So what are the actual thoughts you have in your own mind? Just think of this as almost like the soundtrack, the self belief, the things the story that you're telling yourself, all these things. So when you're looking at the furniture inside your mind, what are all the things that you're using to fill up that space, putting on and put on those walls? Because that's what you're living in, and that's what you're going to that's the repeated exposure of what you will see and start to believe. And if you want to curate that, that's where the attention and awareness comes in from the windows and the doors. So because if you leave the door wide open, anything comes in. Same for the windows. So this is where you have to be very selective of what do you accept and what do you reject? What do you allow in and what do you not allow in? And you get to curate and decide what you allow in, because this is your house. Are you going to be giving space to somebody else? Are you giving that free space to somebody else and shrink your room, put yourself in that small room and allow everybody else to take hold of the limited mental space that you have? It's your mind. What are you going to allow? And so now that leads next to the walls, the paint, your identity, your self-concept. So this is where I think of the walls, like the scaffolding and the layers of paint that you put onto the walls. And so your own belief of who you are, the internal glass ceilings you set for yourself, the person that you say you are, your beliefs, your abilities, what you can, what you cannot do, all of that holistically build the internal walls of your house. So if you think of yourself as a small person, your goals are small, your beliefs are small, and they're limited, you're going to have a very small house. The walls are going to be very thin, and it's only going to be a couple layers of paint. But you get to decide if you want to break that glass ceiling. You get to decide how big you want your house to be, how big the rooms are, how big the ceilings are, how all of that. You get to decide how many layers of paint you get to put on the walls to become the person you want to be, who you say you are, the evidence that you are layering on this. And then the self-talk that you have on yourself, the stories, the affirmations. Think of that as the soundtrack of your house, the playlist, the music that's playing out loud while you're living in that house, the constant song on repeat, those few things. So if you're going to be living in your house, you probably want to make it the way you want it to be. And you probably want it to curate it to listen to things you want to listen to. And then now the alarm system, the safety plan. Think of these as your triggers and contingencies. So we all have smoke alarms in our house, different alarm systems for different sensors for whatever, and same for your car. So I think of this as their emotional spikes. There's temptations. These are like signals. And so if there's an alarm going off in your house, a sensor picks something up that it doesn't like. Same for your car on the dash screen, like a check engine light. A light will indicate to you something's going on. So it's for you to investigate what's going on. Why is that smoke alarm going off? Where's the fire? Where's the part of the engine that's time for me to do some type of maintenance work, to get in the hood, to get underneath to fix the problem. It's not that it's just because the alarm is off doesn't mean something is like everything is going to be bad, but it's a signal for you to investigate what is going on before more alarm goes off, light starts flashing, and then car breaks down, house is on fire. So that's how I view a lot of those things. And then just like a house, you have your weekly reset, your cleaning, your maintenance. So what do you go through, like audit yourself of what are you allowing in? How are you operating your weeks? What did you do? What did you not do? What did you accept? What do you regret? What did you reject? And what went well? What didn't go well? How are you self-sabotaging yourself? How are you holding yourself back? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you telling yourself stories that just fit a bias that makes you feel better? Are you pointing fingers? Are you taking self-ownership, radical self responsibility? Do the maintenance, do the decluttering, do the honest work that really moves the needle. And so that is my mental house model. And you can kind of see how that bleeds into everything else, how that bleeds, that sets the foundation of how you operate your life. So now that we've defined the terms of habits, willpower, and discipline, and then we broke down the mental house model in our own mind of what we allow in, what we allow out, our self-talk, our beliefs, now that bleeds into how we understand ourselves. And so there's a section of psychology called andrology. So this is the psychology of how adults learn. Adults learn very differently. And so I want to give you these because it helps for myself. I've listened to a lot of content and read and studied in school about human behavior and understanding ourselves. I believe there's value in understanding yourself, because if I can understand myself, then I can understand the mechanisms of what is making me, what is influencing things. And I love this thought process from Archimedes. It's, if you give me a place to stand on and a long enough fulcrum, I will move the world. And so I need something to anchor myself to. If I don't understand why I do what I do, telling me to just do better doesn't land. It feels so misplaced. It feels so empty. It feels undervalued, underheard. And so I don't want to just tell somebody do better. It gives you nothing to work with. How? How do I be better? How do I be smarter? How do I be prettier? How do I be happier? That's so abstract, like too abstract. It doesn't give you a place to stand and then to grab onto and then pull with all of your might. And so understanding how adults work, how I behave, my psychology helps me gain leverage. I have something to stand on so I can start moving the world. And so with adults, when it comes to andrology, ownership. Adults love having a saying in the matter. And so if you don't feel like you have autonomy in what you have to say about your own change of your own lifestyle, then most times you don't like that. Most people don't like that. And again, I'm speaking very general here. And so adults don't like that. So you want ownership in how you learn. Okay. So then you can do this on your own time. And the next thing is self-efficacy. So this is the belief that you can and that you will create change. And so self-efficacy, it's a psychological term that can be broken down through a lot of different ways. So this can be broken down into like evidence of things that you have done. So that's like the highest form of self-efficacy. For me, for example, I have a high level of self-efficacy when it comes to training in the gym. I have done it for X number of years. I have applied it for myself, so I spent time. I've done the thing, so I have familiarity about it, around it, and I've applied it to other people to get them stronger, more fit, look better, feel better, perform better. So when it comes to exercise, I have a high level of self-efficacy in applying it to myself and others. So that's one of the biggest lever for self-efficacy is actual mastery of evidence that you can and you have skin in the game of doing the thing. You understand it in and out. Now the next one is like vicarious experience. So observing others. And so I've seen this, and since me coming from a fitness background, this is always my first reference point since I come from that world. This is why people do so well in group fitness classes from a learning, like a motor learning perspective of like how to move better. So there's like when you're in a gym and you see other people, like there's like a CrossFit gym, for example, there's one coach. There could be like 10 to 20 different people in the class working out. Maybe you're a newbie, don't know what you're doing, and you see someone's more experienced, more of a veteran doing the exercise. But the fact that you can see them do it and they look like they're roughly like your age, you're in your bracket system of like maybe as a male, as a female, your body size, the age, the height, the all these different things. If you can see them doing it, and that goes across like a whole spectrum as well. But the more relatable that person is to you, that you can see that and you see them doing it, that helps you believe that you can achieve the same thing that they're doing, and you can see them, and so you can almost mirror that, and that can help from like a motivational standpoint and a belief. This is big thing. Self-efficacy is like your self-belief. You can and will do something for yourself. So that's another very powerful thing of seeing others doing as well. That's why representation is a big thing for many of us. Seeing others who look like us, move like us, are doing it, but they're just several steps or years ahead. So that gives you a chance. If you're willing and open to the fact that, like, since they did it, you can do it too. But you can also be on the other camp of saying, oh, they did it because of XYZ privileges, so I can't do it. Now, that's a whole different thing. So then the next lever when it comes to like self-efficacy is like social persuasion. So like pep talks. So this is where having others like words of encouragement, you giving words of encouragement to yourself, others giving words of encouragement for you, affirmation. For some people do very, very well off of that positive feedbacks because it matters. Maybe you go throughout your day, like for my clients, for example, I make sure that I tell my clients that they're doing well. I'm not just like blowing smoke up their ass or anything like that, but I verbally tell them and I always ask, how are you doing today? How did you sleep? What's going on in your life? What are the different buckets, cups of stressors that you are pouring into? And then if you show up and you're here, I recognize that I can understand or imagine how hard this is, and you're giving me a lot of effort right here, and you're doing the best you can, then I will always reinforce that good behavior, that good intention, that good, just reinforcing you are doing great. You were doing great. Maybe today you only had 10%, but that 10%, you're giving me that whole 100% of that 10. And so I can see that. I will give you that positive reinforcement because it matters. As humans, as adults, we get like less and less positive encouragement. It's just being nice to somebody and just giving this and just showing that you recognize it, that you see it, and you can do that to yourself as well. Because I'm noticing the older we get, the less more people are being told that they suck, and you probably, like, to yourself, your own internal narrative sometimes can be way too critical and harsh. And so hearing some of those good just words of encouragement can go a long way. So it really helps. And then there's other levers too, from an emotional state. So feeling good about doing something helps you want to do the thing again. So like if you, for example, like if you feel good doing exercise, or like you get good at it, you're going to want to do it again. Just like how there's no perfect workout plan. It's, what are you having fun doing? And if you have fun doing it, you most likely will do it again. And that's how you make things be more sustainable. And so those are some of the things. And so from a self-belief standpoint, from a taking ownership standpoint, having autonomy, feeling like you belong in this. And so that's what I hope I make all like my content here for people, is I hope that you feel like you belong here. For me, relating some of these things with you, that from my content, from all my different social platforms and everything, knowing that like, hey, talking about this mindset stuff is not weird. Talking about exercise is not weird. To some people who don't value those things, it could be weird. But here, it's not weird. So let's talk about it. And I can share with you things that have worked well for me from the science, hoping to give you clarity, cause some type of internal shift, give you some type of value that you can anchor yourself to, and you feel seen, heard, and understood. And so you're going to want to make the change, because changing is hard. It's not easy. And the more that we feel encouraged, seen, and heard, and all these other things along the way, helps us make really continue to reinforce that that change, instead of just inflicting shame like over and over and being mean to ourselves. That works for some, like a small segment of people, but that doesn't work long term forever. And it creates a very negative feedback loop, and it's very not as stable. And yeah, so there's that. So this is why I love understanding myself. So self-determination theory, andrology, self-efficacy, competence. I think I talked about competence. That's another one. Is that how do you build confidence and competence? By doing the things, by building a stack of undeniable proof and evidence for yourself that you can do the thing, and that you are who you say that can do the thing, and reminding yourself of that helps build competence. And the higher degree of competence you have in yourself, that you can do this and that you will do this, then your confidence goes up and you will do more of the thing. So there's a lot of these psychological things that I can go more in future episodes, so I don't make this one super long. But I wanted to kind of throw these things out there so then you understand how you behave, and they're not isolated to just this. You can throw them across a lot of different things, areas of your life when it comes to change. And there's also something called the trans-theoretical model for the stages of change. And so the stages of change, depending on where you are in this loop, it's not a perfect model, but you can be at the part where like you know that you should change, but you don't do any change. And there's parts where you are ready to make that decision to change, and then you make the decision. It's kind of like, you never know when you're ready. Like, ready isn't a feeling. Ready is a decision. If you want to change, you can have, maybe you do need information. Maybe you need whatever. But at some point, You're going to be capped out of information, and you just have to make the decision. That's where you take an action. Ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You must make the decision for the change, and then you maintain that change. But then there's times where you can fall out of that behavior, the pattern, the loop, and you can reintegrate yourself to these different stages of change. So there's pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, and relapse. So it's a loop here. And so when it comes to the next thing, it's how do you actually bridge doing the thing? And many of us know what we're supposed to do. It's something known as the intention behavior gap. Many of us know what to do, but we don't do it. And you talk to somebody, they're like, I know what to do. I'll just be better. I'll just do it later. Blah, blah, blah. And they don't actually do it. So how do you actually close that gap? And so there's a lot of different ways, but like I said earlier, you have to make the decision. You have to be vulnerable enough, have the humility, and be willing. That's a big one. Willing to make the change. Willing to lower whatever ego, lower whatever the thing it is, to implement the change. You may know all the things, but it doesn't matter what you know if you don't apply it. So that application is important. And that application can look like a lot of different ways to many different people. So, excuse me. And now jumping out into your mind a little bit, how do you create better change for yourself in the real world? So I know I talked about like some of the like stuff at your side of your head, if you want to call it woo-woo or fluff or whatever. I think it matters a lot. Now, really, how do you make the change? And there's a statement from James Clear's book that I love. It's don't rise to the levels of your goals, fall back to the levels of your systems. Create systems for yourself. Make it easier for you to do things so you don't have to think about it so much, because there's actual cognitive load. The more you have to think about something, it's kind of like Steve Jobs. And a lot of very like billionaire techs and very successful people try to reduce their decisions fatigue. In a normal day, you have millions, thousands of millions of decisions you have to make a day. So that's taxing. That's mental caloric energy that you have to expend and use. That's a lot. And so how do you make it easier for yourself? Well, how can I make less decisions but just be efficient? For example, if your system is for your habits, for your discipline, is you go to bed at the same time, you wake up at the same time. You know that you wake up at 5 or 6, and then you get to the gym at like 6 or 7. If you know that every single day, or 4 times a week, or 3 times a week, or on set certain days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever, then boom, that's a system. That's one less thing you have to think about. You can already just know that it's already pre-planned, pre-populated into your routine, your schedule, and that gives you clarity, and that gives you freedom to be the person that you want to be. And so that's a system right there. You know that you go to bed at a certain time. You know that you prep your food. You know that I call it the closing shift at night to reset my apartment, to make sure the dishes are put away, the floors are vacuumed, everything's just reset to the next day. So then I wake up feeling in a good mood. I like that feeling, and I just start the day off on a good foot. So build systems in your life. Create some type of sequence, create some type of structure for yourself. And you don't have to be super rigid, but be adaptable to them when the situation warrants it. You don't have to be so dogmatic saying my system's the way, and if you don't do it, your systems will suck, or you have to do this. No, you don't gotta be weird like that. But find a routine, a ritual, a system that works for you, to where you get to make less decision. You feel more free to get doing the things you want to do, the things that matter to you. And because you don't just like find time for things, you have to make the time. That's a huge fallacy. That's such a lie, is that you find time later. You will always be busy, and you will find a way to fill your time. Everyone is busy. Everyone finds a way to fill their time some way, shape, or form. And you will feel that with just passive things, by scrolling, just, you will fill that time with something. So if you want something in this life, you have to be intentionally making the decision to bring that into your reality. If something is a multi-week, multi-year, multi-whatever goal, then you have to create the steps to pull that reality to you. It is your responsibility. You just got to do it. You have to make the time. And it's a trade-off. You can't do everything. You can't be everywhere. So what are you willing to let go? What are you willing to trade? What are you willing to suffer? Because then there's also this phrase I love is like, choose your heart. Everything is hard. And maybe this might be too aggressive for you or whatever, insert whatever words you want to use. But like if you take the angle of there's always something that you're going to regret. You're going to regret, like, say, going out. Are you going to go? Maybe you feel FOMO and you want to go out on a Friday night. Okay. Are you going to, which regret do you want? The regret of going outside and not going to bed early, or the regret of staying in to go to bed early and not going out? Can you see that? You have to choose what you're willing to trade. It's all a trade. So what are you willing to trade in this life to have the life that you want? Some you, like, for example, me getting a PhD in exercise physiology right now. I am choosing to trade my ability to get a PhD in music, mathematics, for example. See how that works? I'm willing to be here on a Sunday morning recording the podcast instead of hanging with friends by a pool at 11:47 a.m. right now, because this matters to me. So if it matters to you, then do what matters to you. Do what is who you say you are and the values. So thinking about those things really does help. So bridging the gap between wanting to do things and actually doing things, closing that gap, and you have to make the time to do things. Build systems for yourself in your actual life. Stack habits. This is where I'm going to challenge you here. Take a really hard audit of your life, of your mental house, of your environment, of your habits, of everything. What do you accept? What do you reject? What do you allow in? What do you not allow in? Everything. Who you are. Listen back to the other 2 episodes of your identity. Do you even know who you want to be? Do you even know who you are? Do you have a vision for yourself? Do you have values that you have self-established or identified? Tenets, creeds, a core belief? Who are you? Who do you want to be? Where do you want your life to go in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? What is that long range vision, perspective that you have for yourself? What are the different missions and pursuits that will get you there? What are the mile markers? What are you doing day to day right now? How can you make your average Tuesday be something worth living? All these things. Take a hard audit of who you are. And if you haven't established a vision or your values or who you want to be, those are really big levers to pull. And then you can start building out the habits, the behaviors of how the very tactical things. Because once you gain clarity of where you want to get to and all those things, then you can come up with the tactical, the strategy, the action plan of how to get there. Because if you don't know where you're trying to get to, what you're even trying to ask for, if what you're asking for is way too vague and you don't know, then you won't get what you're asking for, because you're not asking for anything. You get what you ask for. So what are you trying to ask? So take a really big hard audit. This could be a day thing, it could be a couple day thing. Just sit with this. Really, really sit with this. And like I said, anchor yourself to the identity of who that person is. Who is that person? Say you want to be a person that works out early in the morning. Say you want to be a person that has the physique of your dreams. You want to feel a certain way. You want to be able to show up with such confidence and conviction and like exude this like self-belief, calmness, stillness, energy around you that just feels warm, and that you are just, you know who you are. You know the direction where you're heading. You are just at peace with yourself. define what this character, who you want to be, and all these things, the directions they're doing, the habits they have, the behaviors, the mindset that they embody, all these different things. Figure all that out, and then you can reverse engineer it, and then the steps, the immediate first 2 or 3 steps will reveal themselves to you. And it's just, there we go. Oh, cool. It's a decision filter. It helps you put a guardrails. This is in alignment with who I'm trying to go, want to be. So create the vision, build that compass. Now you have the tools. And next week's episode is going to be on a little more on the mindsets, resilience, the mental armor, psychological durability, endurance of when you start feeling low, when you start feeling like this sucks and you feel like giving up. I'm going to talk about more of that next week. So those of you who are still listening, thank you so much for hanging out with me to the very end here. If you took value, if you took anything away from this, please share with me in the comments. What did you learn? What did you learn? What did you take away from this? What will you carry with you? And I would love to know that. I really would. And liking, subscribing, sharing this with others, saving this to listen later, really helps the channel grow so that I can make this be a full-time thing. Anyways, thank you so much, and I will see you guys next week. Peace out.